on the Hillbilly Voodoo channel. Breaking news, there will be no Donnie and Elani on this channel ever. So if you're interested or entertained by billionaires twisting you up balloon animals out of bullshit, you should probably go watch the news. Now back to our regularly scheduled quality programming. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to build ourselves a wire brush that doesn't suck. Why are we building a wire brush instead of going out and buying a wire brush? Well, guess what, guys? I went out and bought a wire brush. Supposedly a quality North American made product. Spent my last $15, yeah, $15 on a wire brush. Brought it home, scrubbed a couple welds, scrubbed a little bit of rust off of a piece of metal, and guess what? No more bristles left on my $15 wire brush. You want people to buy your product and to shop local. Stop making overpriced crap. So I figured instead of going out and spending another $15 for 5 minutes of work, I'm going to build my own and see how that turns out. What we got here are a cable out of a crappy old winch. It's got all kinds of burrs and stuff all over it. Probably wouldn't want to use it as a cable for pulling anything. Short chunk here. Pretty sure we got a whole bunch more snarled up in one of the piles of ground obtainium out there. Got a chunk of metal here and a chunk of wood. Let's see if we can make a wire brush out of this stuff that lasts more than a few minutes. So what am I thinking we're going to do here? Well, a wire brush is more or less just a bunch of wires sticking out of a handle that you use to scrub stuff with. So what can we do with this stuff to make a wire brush? I guess that's the whole plan here. What I'm thinking is to cut a strip out of this metal, the same width as our stick, drill a bunch of holes in that piece of metal. They're the same size around as our cable. Poke the cable through those holes. Now wait, let's back that up a little bit here. Make the piece of steel the same size as our stick. Poke holes through the stick and the steel. Put the cables through those holes. Weld them to the steel. They'll be sticking through the holes. They'll be sticking out the bottom. We'll have a stick with wire brushes on it. Guess that's basically what it is. But hey, guess what? We'll end up with at least a wire brush that probably is going to last more than a couple seconds. So, let's take our piece of metal here. Let's chop out a chunk of, maybe we should draw the line straight. Yeah, talk about building quality products, eh? Yeah, let's make it straight to begin with. Well, let's chop that out. And see how many holes we're going to need to poke in that to put a bunch of bristles in it. Well, we got most of the yuck ground off of there now, so hopefully we can weld to it without gagging on paint fumes and stuff. Let's whack it out a little bit straighter. Sure, if I looked around, I probably could have found a straighter piece of metal on the floor, but guess what? This one was already on the bench and I didn't have to bend over to pick it up, so yeah. Now, how many rows of bristles should we put on this wire brush? Well, I believe that this cable is about 1/4 inch. Yeah, 1/4 inch. Our metals, approximately 1 1/8 inches. Maybe we could get 3 rows. 1, 2. Well, maybe we're going to do 3 rows, but we're going to have to, I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see? Probably not. Yeah, we're going to do 3 rows, but we're going to have to stagger them. So we'll put 2, then 1, then 2, then 1 kind of thing. Just because this is super thin, and I don't know if our piece of wood's going to crack, or I don't know if this is going to work. We might be just wasting a bunch of time, but hopefully we'll end up with a product that we can actually use. Yeah. So let me mark this out. We'll make 3 lines on here and we'll go and poke some holes in it from there. Does that make sense? Is any of this making sense? Why the hell am I doing this? Why? Because I'm sick and tired of getting ripped off. That's why. Yeah. In case you guys haven't figured out yet, kind of in a bit of a frustrated mood today. I'm not going super precision on my measurements here because my piece of metal's kind of scabby and bent, so if we got a 1/4 inch of material here, we need to make a 1/4 inch hole through there, right? We're going to need space in between each hole. So let's make each one of these holes. Should we make it a 1/2 inch apart? Yeah, sure, let's go 1/2 inch apart. Guess some bristles on our brush are better than no bristles on our brush, right? Put this up here so I can actually scribe something on here. So this is what I've ended up with here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but we're gonna drill hole there, hole there, hole there, hole there, hole there. So it's gonna be kind of staggered. Should leave enough metal to weld our bristles to, and yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna center punch all that so that the drill bit doesn't skate around on it. And start poking holes in it. See if we're on the right track to having something that's going to work or not. Make sure that when you're center punching, you find the absolute biggest friggin' hammer that you can find, so that when you miss the center punch and slam your thumb, reminds you that you're still alive. Yeah. Okay, we got that all center punched up there. Now let's go poke some holes in there and see if our little cables are going to fit through them. Well, now we got our little 1/4-inch holes poked in here. I think we're gonna chop our stick down into something a little more manageable. I don't think we're gonna need a 2-foot long wire brush unless maybe we wanna scrub the poop off of something really far away. Like that. Yeah. So I'll stick this up here and hand length maybe. Yeah. That looks like a good... Hey, maybe we can make 2 wire brushes out of this stick. Sure. That kind of looks like a good length. I'm sure there's no cracks in the end of this piece of wood. Anybody cares? It's a chunk of birch milled from a tree that was just out the door there that the goats ate all the bark off of and killed the tree. So let's chop this down. Maybe we'll make it a little bit thinner too, because we definitely don't need something that meaty. Yeah, let's cut it down. Now that I got our handle cut down here a little bit more manageable, I'm going to sacrifice a couple of our holes here, and I'm going to put screws in just to hold our metal plate down. Maybe I'll move it back a little bit there. Yeah, right about there. Put a couple screws in to hold her down, and then drill through these holes all the way through the wood so that our bristles can go all the way through. Yeah, does that make sense? They're going to go all the way through. They're going to stick out the bottom. We're going to weld them on the... Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, let's do that. See? Screws. Holding it on there. Let's drill through this. Through the metal, through the wood. And yeah, hopefully everything works out. We don't split our wood all the hell. Well, now that I got all the holes drilled all the way through our wood there, through our little metal pattern type thing on the back, we're going to have to cut up some pieces of this cable to go through those holes. Now, I'm pretty sure that is not going to be enough cable, so maybe we better go wander around the piles of ground obtainium and see if we can find some cable. That probably would have been a better idea before we drilled all those holes and got into this project, but I'm almost certain that there's some out there, so let's go find some. Now the problem with piles of ground obtainium is quite often they're outside, and as you can see, we finally got some snow. This has been probably the weirdest year that I can remember in 50 some odd years. It is beginning of February, and this is only the second time I've actually had to plow snow. So the problem with the piles of ground obtainium is sometimes they're covered in other things. Now, the last time I was out here poking around, I saw a piece of cable. And if I remember right, it is in this pile here. Yes, it's right there, hanging out of the snow. And it's not connected to anything. But am I going to be able to get it out of there? Well, I'm not going to be able to get it out of there, so I think I'm going to have to go and I'll have to go grab something that I can cut off a chunk. That's probably 6 feet there, so that should be plenty. So I'll go find something that I can chop this off with, and then we'll take it in the shop and start cutting up our little bristles. I actually kind of got lucky, and after I put the camera down, I just put a little bit more fat kid power into the pulling on that cable, and it came out. It's only about 10 feet long, so I didn't have to find anything to chop it off with. Now I think we better decide on how long we're going to make these little bristles here, because that little chunk of cable I have there might be... Yeah, I think that's a little too short, so how about we go with, let's eyeball this stuff. I don't know, maybe an inch sticking out the bottom of the brush, sticking out of the brush. Sound like a good idea? An inch? Width of my thumb? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Well, let's chop a bunch of little chunks this long up. Now the trick to cutting this stuff is going to be to do it kind of gradual and slow with the grinder so that we don't fray the cable, otherwise we're not going to be able to jam it through the hole. I think that's going to be the hardest part of this whole project is cutting this stuff up in a way that it's actually going to be usable. So yeah, let's give her a whirl here. You guys kind of cross your fingers, because I won't be able to cross my fingers and work the grinder at the same time. Maybe I could cross my eyes and work the grinder at the same time. Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, that worked, but it kind of frayed it out a little bit. Before we go getting all stupid and keep cutting more, let's make sure we can jam this through these holes before, yeah, we waste a whole bunch of time and energy. Well, hey, that worked. About an inch sticking out the end there, so. But yeah, let's mark out a whole bunch more and keep on whacking. You said whack. you guys know of a way of cutting cable nice and cleanly without wrapping tape around it and cutting through the tape, you guys leave a mess or a comment in the comment section, okay? Because all the years that I've cut through cable, I've never really found any way of cutting it without it kind of falling apart a little bit, other than wrapping a piece of tape around it, and doing that this many times would be a pain in the ass. So if you got any suggestions, it would be greatly appreciated. Well, now I got all of my little bristles cut up here and poked through the holes. I've loosened my screws off a bit and jammed another bristle in behind it to space it out away from the wood. And I'm going to weld all these bristle ends to this metal plate. So it'll hold them all in there and we'll be all good. Now, as my subscribers know, I don't do any welding on camera because my welder is junk. And for some weird reason, I am super apprehensive about buying a new one. Maybe it's because, well, guess what? Everybody makes promises that their product is the best, and they're crap, right? Same reason why we're building a friggin' wire brush right now. Yeah, okay, so let's weld all this together and see if our wire brush is gonna work. Our bristles are all tacked in there now, and it's too bad I didn't have a wire brush to clean up my wire brush, eh? Kind of looks like a wire brush. Doesn't feel super good in my hand though. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of whittling on this handle here and make it not feel so like a block of wood. So make it a little more, yeah. Make the Fool to Tool interface a little more pleasurable to handle. I'm going to grab my knife here and start rounding the corners off here a little bit and see how it feels after that. And then maybe we'll test it out. I'm sure those bristles will spread out and twist themselves a little bit and look more like bristles, but I don't know. Kind of looks like a wire brush to me. Doesn't it look like a wire brush to you? Yeah, so let's make our handle a little more pleasurable here, and then we'll figure out if it's going to work. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, you're probably totally the type of person that should be subscribed to the Hillbilly Voodoo channel. So go ahead and do that right now. And while you're there, give me a thumbs up. Chances are pretty good that you won't be able to find this channel again if you don't subscribe, because they don't really push me out too much on the recommended. So yeah, there you go. Well, after a little bit of whittling away here and a wipe down with an oily shop rag, we got ourselves a wire brush. So let's test it out on something to see if it's going to work. I can guarantee you right now, without even trying this thing, that these bristles are going to last a hell of a lot longer than anything that you're going to buy. Yeah, especially anything that you're going to spend a stupid amount of money on. Let's grab a chunk of rusty steel here. Yeah, there's a good chunk of rusty steel. Let's scrub on it a little bit and see if these bristles are gonna do anything. Well, that works better than any wire brush that I've ever bought, so that's a good sign. those bristles are in there super tight. And I'm sure the more that we use it, the more they're gonna spread out. So that right there, guys, is a real thing. Now, real time, me making this without the filming and the screwing around with positioning cameras and all that other stuff, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I saved myself $15 for an hour and a half of 2 hours of work. Well, that doesn't really sound like a really good thing, but I didn't have to drive to town to buy one. I didn't have to deal with getting ripped off by having an inferior product, and chances are this is going to last me quite a while. I'll probably lose it before I wear it out. Now I'm going to go make some more of these because, like I say, I'll probably lose it before I wear it out. And a little bit of whittling, that's way more nice to work with than the one that I paid a whole bunch of money for. So until next time, guys, use what you got to make what you want, and I hope that you're not out there getting screwed by the man.